All right, folks, what everybody's been waiting for. The New York Football Giants. That is right. Look, I hope you're as jacked up as I am. And if you're not, I really don't give a shit because I am. Look, NFL season is right around the corner, and we are talking about none other than the New York Football Giants. And look, I'm calling for them to have a much better season than last year. They're coming off a 6-11 season after going to the playoffs, getting a road playoff victory. Man, I was so excited coming off that 22 season. Obviously, 2023 did not pan out the same. But let's talk about what they did in free agency. So starting off with, they unloaded some dead weight in the backfield there with Benedict Barkley. They got rid of Sterling Shepard. He's on the Bucs now. Darren Waller has decided that he wants to wrap his way into irrelevancy. So we will take that money back and guaranteed. So at least we get something there. Ben Bredesen, who I thought was always a pretty good, decent player. He's on the Bucs. Adoree Jackson, I believe is he been picked up? I think he's still a free agent. So who knows? We might bring him back, honestly, now that we got a little more of that Waller cash. And then Xavier McKinney, who just, frankly, he's gotten Green Bay. I don't think he's looked the same since he decided to take a trip with an ATV over in Mexico and break his hand. So those are our losses. And who do we add? None other than Drew Lock, who is quarterback 2, quarterback 1. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Running back Devin Singletary, who will definitely be the running back 1 there. Some lineman help in John Runyon and Jermaine Eleanor. Both guys who have starting experience who may be asked to step up. And the biggest addition, biggest 2 additions really on both sides of the ball. You got the stud edge Brian Burns coming over from Carolina, being saved from, it's hard to think there's worse situations than the New York Giants have had over the past couple of years, but Carolina is probably one of them. And then wide receiver Malik Neighbors, who is electric, folks. If you have not watched any highlight tapes, and as much as I hate to say this because he torched my Gators like a lot of teams did last year, that he is a fun special player. They also picked up a good safety out of Minnesota, the best safety in the draft, Tyler Nubin. All right. I'll let you go first. What are your takeaways? What are you thinking as far as what the Giants did in free agency?
I mean, I keep forgetting to do this, but I really need to jump on Spotify or Apple Tunes or whatever it is to listen to some of these hits that Darren Waller is dropping, just like Danny Dimes is dropping footballs all over the field, all over the turf. You know, I mean, anyways.
Make sure you check out Kadarius Toney, aka Young Joka, while you're at it.
Yeah, I'll get right on that. I think this is basically the same team.
But
overall, it is. You know, I mean, obviously you add Brian Burns, you add a slot receiver in Malik Neighbors, but you lose the darling child of your franchise over the last 3, 4, 5 years, however long Saquon Barkley is, for a Devin Singletary. The fact that we are bringing up Drew Lock as a notable addition, I think says it all, to be honest with you. But no, in reality, I think they did what they should do in terms of bringing in offensive line help, because that offensive line was atrocious. They bring in some help on the pass rush with Brian Burns, which does give them a formidable pass rush with Kayvon Thibodeau and Brian Burns. Obviously, they have a stud in the center of that defensive line in Dexter Lawrence. But yeah, I mean, in general, I just don't see where this team's getting much better. I think it's going to be a very similar
season
style of season to last year, to be honest with you.
Yeah, well, I will say, we talked about the loss of Sterling Shepard. That tells me that the tide's turning, folks. Look, I put up this boat picture on the graphic for a reason. He is the last of that curse to leave the New York Football Giants facility. So the curse has been lifted. That's what I'm calling for. We got a brand new, young, very fast and electric wide receiver core. So I think we can make some changes. But before we get into all that, let's talk about some of these injuries here. First, most notably, Daniel Jones coming off that ACL tear. Tore it in November 5th, 2023 against the Las Vegas Raiders, where he tore it and then thought he was fine, tried to play another snap and just literally fell down. and took another sack, which was just painful to watch. He's got only 10 months until week 1. I will say quarterbacks tend to come back a little bit sooner off ACL tears, and it'll be a little bit better, a la Joe Burrow and some of the other types that we've seen in the past. But what are we thinking about Daniel Jones 10 months from his ACL tear?
Yeah, I mean, in general, I'm not terribly concerned. Obviously, Daniel Jones does have some running capabilities.
Vanilla Vic, baby. Put some respect on the name.
Yeah. I think in general, I'm not too concerned with Daniel Jones returning. I don't know if he'll necessarily be fully in tune with some of those new additions to the wide receiver room.
Yeah.
You got a bunch of young wide receivers there. So it'll be interesting to see how long Daniel Jones lasts versus Drew Lock. Do we get the Daniel Jones of 2022 versus the shell of that early part of last year?
Yeah. No, as much as I love the New York Football Giants and I'm a passionate fan, my expectations are a bit tempered for this team. Maybe it's the saltiness and just the sour taste left in my mouth from last season. But I would not, this is someone in fantasy, even as a Giants fan, I'm not really going after, just because that mobility issue, at least early on, it can be an issue. If they're going to be successful, he's going to have to do a lot more and operate from the pocket. So it's going to be a lot on that offensive line. If they've really got to give him time, which they have really not given him his whole career, and he's had to run for his life. But you talked about the addition of John Runyon and Jermaine Eleanor. It's Evan Neal needs to step the fuck up. It's about damn time that he kind of delivers. So that's just the thing is early on, I don't think he can rely as much on his leg as he's had needed to in the past. Yep. Moving on to Darius Slayton. The wide receiver who's really been the wide receiver 1 for the Giants sneakily. I think this is a guy that I always try to target in a sneaky fashion, whether it's in the prop market or on the fantasy terms, because he's basically free. He's coming off a thumb ligament surgery at the end of the season. He got it after the season ended. 3 to 6 month recovery timeline. He's got 8 months. Not a whole lot of concerns. He was already practicing for OTAs and coming back and kind of work his way in. So I'm not super concerned there. And then Daniel Bellinger, who's slated to be the starting tight end, after Darren Waller had decided he wanted to wrap his way to irrelevancy. He picked up a minor undisclosed injury. He was a limited participation in minicamp. All expectations point to him being perfectly fine for training camp. But from a fantasy perspective, he is going to be battling with rookie tight end Theo Johnson. Theo Johnson is someone who has much more of a receiving threat. Daniel Bellinger is a lot more of your traditional old school tight end who's going to lay down a good block and potentially, come out on a delay route or something in the flat, but he's not going to be anything like a Darren Waller type. So, is Theo Johnson going to be able to step up as a rookie and deliver? At tight end for the Giants is not a position I'm targeting at all. Bigger one that I'll ask you about here is Evan Neal coming off an ankle fracture where he had to have surgery. Only a 4 to 6 month usual expected recovery timeline. He's got 8 months. He participated in OTAs, but he held him out of June mini camp because it looks like he just was not ready. What are you thinking there?
By week 1, I think Evan Neal will be perfectly fine. with most fractures, as we've said before, it's all about that healing timeline, that 6 to 8 weeks typically, but we have surgery on top of this, so it is a little bit more extended.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they need him out there. I don't know as far as their offensive line.
Do we need him out there? Jeez.
Well,
yeah,
the franchise would hope to have him out there.
Yeah.
Whether that's a great decision, maybe. But I'm not terribly concerned with that injury.
Yeah, I would agree. It's just more the player that gives me more pause and concern. He's had a really real difficulty staying on the field, and when he is on the field, he's not been good, to put it frank. Not been good. Yep. All right, let's go ahead and get into some of these takeaways. Look, the quarterback 1 situation, they kind of came out and said that Daniel Jones is the starter and there's not really a battle. I think this is more just talking about like the health of Daniel Jones and, is he going to be ready and things like that. I will say Now, obviously, this may be a little biased, but I do think they have one of the better defensive lines in the league. You have Dexter Lawrence, who's one of the best players in the NFL. You have Brian Burns. You have Kayvon Thibodeau, who are stud pass rushers. You even got Azeez Ojulari. And you got guys like Raheem Roches, and DJ Davidson. Davidson's more of a younger player, kind of an unknown guy, but Nunez Roches is one of those run stoppers up, and that really is just a huge, massive human being that can clog up the middle. So I do like their defensive line there, and especially that pass rush with that combination of Thibodeau and Brian Burns. But it really is going to all come down to is this offensive line going to be able to create any holes or protect Daniel Jones like it's been from the last 5 years since this man's been drafted? Can we do something to protect him and give him a shot to actually look like a decent quarterback? What about you? What concerns do you got? What are you thinking?
Yeah, no, I think those are obviously the three biggest ones, and then probably the defensive secondary. Probably not the deepest or most talented going into the season, but we'll see how they come out. Cordell,
young group,
Tyler Nubin, Jason Pinnock.
Yeah,
names that don't really excite me too much, but we'll see. The front seven obviously has some talent all over the place. So,
yeah, no, I would agree with you there. I think, looking at this team, I think Michael McFadden's a question mark at the other linebacker outside of Karakay, Cordell Flott, and Pinnock. Although Pinnock has played pretty well, I think Tyler Nubin will do well. He is a rookie. Really, that I really would have loved for them, and they still might. There's still time, and they got the money coming in from Darren Waller, which was. I mean, hey, if he's not going to be out there, I'm glad he said that he's just going to retire, because we do get like a pretty significant amount of money back. So hopefully we can either, whether it's bringing Adoree Jackson back or picking up somebody, even if it's Stephon Gilmore or somebody. I don't know if Gilmore got picked up by somebody yet.
I don't think so. I think he's still out there.
Yeah, if he's still out there, but somebody to fill that secondary, that cornerback 2 slot, because Cordell Flott, he can do some things in the slot, but I just don't think he's starting NFL cornerback caliber talent. All right. I will let you go first on the New York Giants, who, again, were 6-11 last year and have a win total of 6.5 wins with the over at +115. I will let you go first, because I have a feeling that you are going to be a little bit more pessimistic than I am on the Giants season. So why don't you go? What's your best bets or any major fantasy takeaways?
Well, I will say that I do like the running back number in terms of Devin Singletary. I like him at over 750 rushing yards.
Okay.
But going back to losing quote unquote Benedict Barkley, I don't know if they have much. Eric Gray's still there, but he's their dude at this point.
There's not a lot behind him, I'll tell you that. Yeah,
exactly. So I think he will go over this number. I think the last 3 seasons that he has been the guy, he has gone over this number by quite a bit, really. So I really like that over at -110. And then this is where this may be the end of the DGen docs, because I really only see the New York Football Giants getting 1 win in the first 5 games of the NFL season. So
blasphemy.
The reason why I'm saying that is mostly just due to their schedule. If we pull up their schedule here, they have Minnesota week 1.
Win.
I think that's a toss-up one. At Washington.
Absolutely a win.
Maybe a toss-up. So if I have 2 toss-ups, I'll give them 1.
Okay.
At Cleveland, no shot.
Deshaun Watson's gonna be hurt by then. Okay.
Versus Dallas. I already got Dallas winning twice. And then at Seattle.
Win.
I don't think they go out to Seattle and win against the 12th man. So I think they have potential to win one of those first 2 games. I would just be sad if they go 0-5, to be honest.
Okay. All right.
To start the season. So
I gotta look up the odds for. I gotta look up the odds for them to go 5-0, because I see a lot of wins on that schedule. But hey, maybe looking a little differently. All right. Do you have anything else for him?
Nope, that's it.
All right. I was just about to tell you that your Devin Singletary play, I think, is a good play. And what is he in 6 years in his league? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years in the league. He's hit that number 4 out of the 5 years, getting pretty close the 1 year he missed. So I do like that play. The other one, we're just gonna skip over for the benefit of our friendship. All right. So
what do you have for the good people?
for my best bets for the New York Football Giants, look, again, I am a very passionate fan. I do love this team. I do not have crazy high expectations for them going into this season like I did last year. I think I was a lot higher coming off that 2022 season. I'm trying to temper expectations. However, my first bet is over 6.5 wins at plus 115. I just think we saw essentially the worst case scenario situation with this team last season when they went 6-11. So I don't think it can get worse for this team. So I'm going to go over 6.5 wins at plus 115. The other side of the coin there, I'm going to go with you're going to take an opposite approach there. Well, similar to what Derek was talking about with his Commanders under 2.5 division wins. Look, if there's one thing the New York Football Giants have done in this past, 5-10 year stretch where they've been pretty mediocre, it's beat the Washington Commanders. I'm going for the Giants to go 2-0 and sweep the Commanders at a nice plus 210. They did it last year. And look, I don't know what it is. Daniel Jones does not have a great career record when it comes to wins, but he absolutely knows how to beat this Washington team. And I think that they will do that again. So give me that at plus 210. And then my one of my favorite bets is rookie wide receiver Malik Neighbors to lead the rookie receivers in yards, receiving yards, that is, at plus 600, 6-1. I understand Marvin Harrison Jr. is the favorite for a reason, but I think Malik Neighbors comes into this team and is automatically the wide receiver 1. So I really like Malik Neighbors to have a great season and lead rookie receivers at 6-1. I think is a really good price. He's at the same price as a guy like Keon Coleman, who I would be very shocked if that happens in Buffalo. So I really like Neighbors. I think you're getting good value, even though, he's not a crazy long shot. All right. What are your thoughts on those?
Okay. No, I see where you're coming from with the Neighbors point. I think at the price, I can see where you're coming from there. To kind of go or kind of be devil's advocate, if you will.
Yeah.
Ken Coleman's quarterback situation probably a little bit better, and it's still probably their number one option.
Yeah, hard to argue. I guess, I guess I don't see, and we'll talk about we're wrapping up the NFC, so we'll talk about Buffalo here in the coming weeks. But I just don't see him as the clear number one option with Khalil Shakir and Curtis Samuel, and just a guy who maybe because he's a Florida State Seaman Hole, I'm not super high on. But
yeah.
No,
No, in general, I honestly don't see them getting 7 wins this year. But in general, I think they are that like 6 to 7 win team. Like I think they're right around the same spot they were last year. So would it surprise me if they got 7? No. Would it surprise me if they got 5? No.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think, I'm not calling for any like a double-digit win season, but I think for me 7 or 8 wins is in the realm of possibilities. So